Well, hey everybody, welcome back to day 4, the final day of Ram Clutch's Industry Week 2020. I'm Mike Norsha.
And I'm Matt Giangrande.
And we're excited to bring you an exclusive interview today with the PDRA Mountain Motor Pro Stock World Champion Johnny Pluchino. As well as we're going to give you some updates on Ram's GM, LS, and LT applications.
Well, Mike, as you know, we're on my favorite subject again, Mountain Motor Pro Stock. But like you said, first let's go ahead and take a peek at those LS and LT offerings.
Matt, the LS market sure has grown over the last 20 years, and the clutch systems have certainly evolved along with it. Fortunately, Ram has continued to refine these systems as we've gone along to provide, number one, the best drivability and value, but also the holding power that the customer is going to need. We also want to make sure that we're definitely keeping up with these power levels because they're getting out of hand.
It is crazy just how much power they're making nowadays, and you're right. The LS swap market is just booming. Something that's really popular in that arena is our new 12-inch complete clutch system on a steel flywheel, and then we also have the Power Grip and the Power Grip HD versions as well.
Well, folks are definitely looking to drive their cars these days. And if they're mainly on the street, these systems are excellent choices. That pressure plate's got a nice 2,800-pound clamp load, yet the pedal effort is really easy, more than I ever would have thought so. And the increased surface area of that 12-inch, well, you're just going to get better life, better heat dissipation, and it's definitely going to be a better package all around.
Well, Mike, when I drove that clutch in your Corvette earlier, it was just so easy. It was just a pleasure to drive. Light pedal effort, that Helix hub center. Cuts down on any transmission gear noise you might be expecting to hear. Didn't feel anything like the factory clutch in the Camaros, which I didn't like. They grab so high and they seem to grab very abruptly.
I agree, Matt. When my dad first got his Camaro, we didn't like that engagement point at the very top of the pedal, and that's actually where the Ram pedal height adjuster came from, was from that particular application. So if someone's looking for a really good alternative to the GM LS7 style clutch, something that's going to be very drivable, that's where that 12-inch package is really going to shine. Now, of course, these newer LT cars are coming from the factory with a dual disc clutch. That's going to be your 2014 and up Corvettes and the 2016 up Camaros. And we tried a bunch of different clutch and flywheel weight combinations with these. But due to the thickness of that factory flywheel, we settled on aluminum really to give us a good blend of drivability and performance.
And the choices here are going to be dual disc as well. In the 14 Corvette, I really like the Pro Street dual disc. The release length was really nice. The drivability was superb. The modulation was very easy. Pedal effort is a little bit more. It's an aftermarket clutch, but certainly nothing that's going to hamper you in a stop-and-go driving or traffic situation by any means.
Yeah, the Pro Street's definitely my favorite of all the clutches we built. Absolutely.
Well, I guess having the ability to design that from the ground up had a lot to do with how well that clutch performs, and then, of course, having the 900 series disc option certainly addresses the higher power levels, yet still retaining great drivability.
Yeah, that's certainly a bonus point of this unit, as well as the higher RPM shifting capabilities, which are getting more and more prevalent as well. Of course, we still produce the Force 10.5 units for these applications, and that's a really nice driving clutch as well at a little bit lower price point.
Well, and if you're an LS or LT aficionado, be sure to check out all the systems on ramclutches.com. And up next, an exclusive interview with the PDRA Extreme Pro Stock World Champion, Johnny Pluchino.
Well, Matt, in drag racing, dreams really do come true. For second-generation drag racer Johnny Pluchino, he cut his teeth in a very competitive Pro 632 class and showed he had what it had there, winning back-to-back championships. And for 2020, he's gotten to take over the seat of his dad's Pro Stock Mustang.
Well, you know, I've known John and Johnny Pluchino for a long time, so it was great to see those guys have such a great year. You know, Johnny compiled an incredible record of 4 wins in 6 PDRA events, as well as taking home an NHRA Wally this year. So certainly he was the champion in the PDRA Extreme Pro Stock Series, and Pat got to sit down and talk to Johnny a little bit about that dream season.
All right, thanks for joining us here today, Johnny. We're going to talk a little bit about the 2020 race season, a little bit about your career, and then we're going to look forward a little bit into 2021 and see what that looks like. He came out, got started, won back-to-back 632 championships in PDRA. That was a pretty cool experience. And then this year you dropped back and decided to just run the single car and run Pro Stock and kind of focus all your efforts on one car. How hard was it to actually give up the 632 car, just knowing how good a ride that was and what success you had there?
Yeah, so that was it was tough in essence to do that, but I had a dream of being a Mountain Motor Pro Stock race winner, champion, and all that. So I understood to get to that, I probably wouldn't be able to balance both. The 632 ride was awesome. Unfortunately, the sanctioning body kept pegging us with weight penalties because of our success. So it was just the right time for me to step out, combined with wanting to really put all of our effort in coming out, having a really strong 2020 season, my rookie year in essence in a mountain motor car, and I'm happy we made the decision we made.
Do you think the rule changes probably was the final straw that kind of like said, hey, I need to move on and kind of leave this behind me and move forward?
Yeah, it was a pretty good part of it. The other part of it was just trying to balance running two cars. We were able to do it. I just don't think we have as much success with the Pro Stock car than we would just keeping all our efforts on that car. It was a lot to drive both. I think I'm a better driver driving just one of them at the race, just getting in a rhythm with the car you're in. I think I drove the Pro Stock car better when I wasn't driving the 632 car.
Yeah, I've seen you preparing the two cars at the races, and to a certain extent, because the PDRA or the 632 car ran first, a lot of times it almost seemed like the Pro Stock car kind of got pushed to the side a little bit, and that kind of, not that you didn't give a lot of attention to it, but it just didn't get the 100% effort on it, and maybe you missed a little detail here or there, which in Pro Stock's all the difference in the world. Yeah,
I 110% agree with that. It's a decision we had to make at that point. I'm glad we made the decisions we made. I don't really have any regrets.
Yeah, now 2020 for a lot of people has not been a very good year, but obviously for you it's probably been one of the best years of your life. Not that the last three haven't been great, but the year didn't start off so good. So tell us a little bit about what happened with the engine and what you went through with that bad news early on in the season.
Yeah, so we engine was down at the engine shop at Kazi Racing Engines. We tried to do some R&D on the dyno, find some additional horsepower, as we do every off season. And unfortunately, we had some parts failure in the crankshaft. So when you break a crankshaft that big, spinning that RPM, it did a lot of damage. Something we really weren't expecting to go into the 2020 season, having to really build a new engine basically at that point. So it didn't necessarily start off how we were looking for it to start off. Thankfully, like partners with strutmasters.com, really good people behind us. We were able to just get through it, and we had come out with really good horsepower for 2020. And I think, in essence, it didn't start where we wanted it to start, but the horsepower that we had all year long was a big reason that we were able to win some of these rounds.
Yeah, now, so you get the engine, you get past the engine damage, you get the car back together, you're ready to go to the first race, and the pandemic sets in. So it's like, okay, we stub our toe once, we stub our toe twice. Now we've got about another 2.5 month intermission. And then in late May, you get back on the track at Galat for the first event. Actually, I believe that was Memorial Day weekend, the last weekend in May. And what was it like going to that race? Because living in New York, you're kind of really at that point in time, as far as what we knew about the virus, you lived in the epicenter, basically. A lot of people didn't want to travel. There was uncertainty of who all was going to come. So what was it like traveling to the race? And then when you got there, did people kind of treat you differently because of where you're from?
I thought they were going to pit us by ourselves out back. That's what I thought was going to happen. But, it was a little bit different for me because in New York it was such a big deal. Not that it wasn't a big deal other places, but they were making such a big deal of it here between just the way the governor runs things and the amount of cases. It was coming in here very fast and it was spreading very quickly. So we traveled down there, we drove down there, and it was kind of like a different world than I was used to up here for the last couple of months, just because it was just being treated slightly different. But hey, we kept to ourselves. We stayed in our pit and we did our job. We were there to race, and that's what we did.
Well, obviously got out on the track. I'm sure that was a relief when you got to make that first run. All of a sudden, like, the scoreboard lights up, you see that big speed. There had to be a ton of enthusiasm to just get that first run and then to find out how good the engine really was. How was that moment when you got finally to make some runs?
Yes, it was great. I mean, I'm looking forward to it all season, and then it's delayed and getting pushed back. I count down the days to a race, so when it wasn't in the beginning of April and we pushed through April and now we're getting into May and we're almost towards June and you're not letting the clutch out yet, you don't know how many races are going to be with COVID. You never know what was going to happen. So I just wanted to get out and get some racing under our belt. We had this engine that we were excited about, looked promising on the dyno, but we went out there, we made that first run. It wasn't a good run, but it showed a whole lot of speed, and we said, all right, we got a lot of promise here. If we can just get the bottom numbers where we need them, this thing's going to be fast, and it turned out that way.
And of course, this not only being the first PDRA race, this is the home race pretty much for your sponsor, Strutmaster. So how cool was that to have them right there in their backyard?
Yeah, 100%. He's right there. The whole PDRA series was actually fairly centrally located for him this year because they had to cancel a lot of events and stuck mostly to North Carolina and Virginia. So having his support there with us is a big part of our team. Don't think we would have been able to race 2020 without him, to be completely transparent. But we were able to. We got the win over there, and it was really exciting. It was exciting to do it. I'm a confident guy. I thought we would have success this year in Mountain Motor Pro Stock. I didn't think I'd win the first race. So going out there, getting the first race under our belt, put some confidence in our team, and we just kind of kept marching forward from there.
Yeah, well, obviously you turned that confidence because you went on to win 4 of the 6 races. In fact, when you left Galat, you went to Darlington, one of the races you didn't win this year, but still you had a semifinal finish there and an unfortunate red light really in a round you possibly could have maybe made it past that round. You could have went on and won that race as well. The streak just kind of built momentum from there, it seemed like. So what point in the year did you guys get in the truck to head to the race and you're like, man, we're really on to something?
Well, I would say Darlington, I wasn't that confident at Darlington. Pretty much because JR Carr came out and they were evil fast. And we were a little bit behind them. We just weren't making the runs we needed to make at that point. We were just trying to work out the combination. So Darlington, I wasn't overly confident. We just won the race before, but we didn't have the car we needed to have at that point. I pushed the tree against him in the semis. I came up just a little bit too quick, and he went on to win the race. And I said, look, they got a really fast car going into the next race. And we have a fast car, but we don't necessarily have a quick car right now. We need to make it a little bit better early. So what we did was Dad and I packed up after that, and we went to Galat, maybe my favorite racetrack. We went testing. We said we're going to spend the weekend there testing, so we did. We actually went out there and made a change, and we only made about 2 runs, but we liked what we did. And at that point, I said, all right, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with now. We know this thing's got good power. We figured a couple things out with the car because we were able to be in test mode at that point. So we figured a couple things out. I said, that was a point where I said, all right, we got something for him now. From there, that combined with going out, I remember we won the next race we went to, and then we went to, I think, the NHRA race, and I said, man, imagine we could win this race too. And once we started putting those 2 together, I said, all right, we're the guys to beat right now.
Well, you bring up the NHRA race, and that's a good point because that's I think that's your second quarter-mile race in the Pro Stock car, is that correct?
Third.
Okay.
2 last year, Bristol Epic.
Okay, so that was obviously a big deal. You won that race in Indy, had a really consistent car all weekend, but just maybe our viewers would like to hear, you race so much 8th mile, how much different is it when you run quarter mile? How much more exciting is it to leg it out that second half of the racetrack and really let that thing kick it and get moving?
Yeah, so it's the kind of the part of the run that you get to sit back and enjoy, because you're busy for the first half. You put it in high, and it just keeps pulling. The mountain motor cars are a blast to drive. You stick them in 5th gear about the 8th mile, and then you're just charging. You're picking up 45, 46 mile an hour in the back half. So it's charging the whole way. And then you just got to get it stopped, and it feels really good when the parachutes come out and you know you're going to stop. So it's exciting. I put it in. We had some close races over there. We had some exciting races over there. 220 something miles an hour in a door car is it's nothing to shake a stick at.
No, that was definitely an exciting weekend. I think you had a really good race with Elijah there in the finals, and it was it definitely. I thought the class did a great job of representing the product they can put on the track. Heading back for 2021, are you going to be back teamed up with Chip Lofton and Strutmasters again?
Yeah, so Strutmasters.com is going to be back on board with us. Huge part of our team at this point. I'm overjoyed by the partnership that we've built so far. They're definitely going to be back on board with us. Hopefully we can put our foot forward again, get them another ring, win some races, and celebrate in the winner's circle.
So what's the future look like for this Mountain Motor Pro Stock class? I mean, we've got 3 places to race next year between the PDRA, the NHRA, and now the ADRL coming back. It looks like there might be as many as 18 races on the schedule. So it's going to be a lot of racing going on, a lot of opportunities for people. So what do you see the future of the class looking like?
Well, what I would like to see, I don't know where it's going to go. I would like to see, and I'm starting to see, some new faces in the class. There's different avenues to go race, 8th mile, quarter mile, but it's a really enjoyable class, and you could actually do it fairly reasonably for a heads-up operation. Again, heads-up racing is never going to be the most budget-friendly thing to do, but I think you can go out there. It's unlike your 500-inch brother, which you go to an NHRA race and you have to, lease horsepower for a lot per race. And you can do it more affordably now than you used to do it. But with a program like this, you can go buy your own engine for a relatively reasonable price. You could put a car together and you could work on it with your guys, and you'll be competitive if you make good runs and do the good job driving. So I want to see some new faces, new blood get in the class, whether it's ADRL, PDRA, or NHRA. We have extremely good racetracks to race at, good crowds and media to race in front of. And I think that if we can get some new faces, some new blood in the class, and show others that you too can jump in a class like this and be competitive, you could buy competitive equipment right away. It's an avenue for top sportsman drivers to step up, pro mod drivers to make a change. There's a lot of people out there that think, hey, if you're somebody who is into racing clutch cars, which is, in my opinion, the only way to race, then it's a wonderful opportunity, wonderful class to get in, really exciting, great group of people to race against, and I recommend it to everybody.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think this is probably one of the best classes you can race, or the amount of fun you can have at the relative cost is really very good in Mountain Motor Pro Stock compared to the constant engine change combinations that you see in Pro Mod and some of the other categories. So, and now with these 3 places to race, I mean, you can almost race in your own geographic region or pick and choose the ones you want to go to. So there's really not any excuses not to run 8 or 10 races for these teams.
Yeah, 100%.
How many events are you guys kind of looking to shoot for next year?
I guess I'm not 100% sure on that. I would assume we're going to run somewhere in the 10 race area. It could be 10, 11 races, something like that. You never know, depending on what championship structures are out there. I want to race for a championship every year, so I guess we'll see where that goes. I definitely want to have a number 1. I'm going to have a number 1 on my car this year, and I'd love to carry it over into next year. It starts with the first race, so I want to follow a championship series, and I want to discuss with my sponsors what races they're interested in, what represents them the most, and then we'll kind of build a schedule together. But it's good having a lot of avenues. I just want the participation needs to be up there, and again that'll help when we have more cars coming in. I know there are some new cars and new drivers coming into the class, so that's what we need.
All right, well, great. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and I hope you and your father have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks to everybody at Ram Clutches. I just want to say, look, this is bar none the top product out there. The support from Ram Clutches is through the roof. Just thank you so much for being a huge part of our 2020 season.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate watching you guys be successful. Thanks, Johnny.
Left.
So that's a wrap on our final day of Ram Clutches Industry Week 2020. We hope you've enjoyed these episodes and learning a little bit more about our products and some of the fine folks out there who depend on those parts for their racing operations in this very, very strange season.
Well, we encourage all of you to share these videos with your friends, with your fellow racers. Nobody knows what 2021 is going to bring. But the one thing you can be sure of is that Ram's going to be right there with you, providing you the best service, the finest products to make your vehicles perform on the street, on the racetrack, or someplace in between.
And on behalf of everyone here at Ram, we want to make sure we wish everyone a safe and a happy new year, and we look forward to seeing you soon.